and welcome to, or thanks for welcoming me to the city of Markham.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good. I was listening to the news this morning, and I knew that there were talks about that. So finally, I guess everyone decided that Markham merits to be a city, and I agree that it certainly does. So my name is John. I'm going to be pretty loose and free with talking with you people, and I hope that you feel free to talk to me and ask me questions as well as I tell you what I know about GeoWarehouse. I'm a realtor in Toronto. I'm a member of the TRED board, and I'm with a small brokerage. I've been in real estate for 5 years, and just last year I started working with Terranet, which is the company that manufactures GeoWarehouse, to develop and help them develop a training program to better educate the realtors in Ontario. So my mandate is to come out and train you, the realtor, whether I'm here in front of you or whether we're doing a webinar together, as often as I can, as often as you need. I'll be doing training at brokerages such as things like today, sessions like today, and I also do training sessions at the various boards around the province. My experience with GeoWarehouse has greatly improved and been enhanced since I've been working in the offices of Terranet, because I get to work right beside the people who have developed it up until now and who continue to develop the product. So I feel like I know a lot about GeoWarehouse. Some people out there might know just a little bit more than myself, but the more that I can exchange with you, the better for you, and the more you can tell me about GeoWarehouse, the better for you, because then I can make sure that the product gets better developed, and I can share those experiences with your colleagues and other realtors across the province. So again, thank you for inviting me here to your brokerage today. I have turned my phone on silent. I would appreciate that everybody at least puts your phone on silent. I understand that if you have business to do and phone calls with your clients, that's perfectly fine, but a telephone ringing is going to be disruptive for the session, for your colleagues, and for myself. So I ask you to put your telephones on silent, at least, please. And today, we're going to spend 2 hours. Hopefully I'm going to keep you awake for the next 2 hours, but we're going to talk about a little bit about Terranet and what Terranet is and why Terranet exists, and GeoWarehouse, of course, and how GeoWarehouse is put together. And one of the most important things that I'm going to talk about today is how GeoWarehouse relates to your business. I'm a realtor, and I use GeoWarehouse because it's a great tool and it's an essential tool in my electronic toolbox that I use every day, whether I'm working with Terranet, but more importantly, as I work with my clients in real estate. So I'm going to try to have all of the different features and processes and workflows that I'm going to talk to you about today and demonstrate how it really relates to your business and how it should relate to your business, so you can be a real expert at using GeoWarehouse, but more importantly, an expert knowing about the land that you are helping your clients on either side of the deal, whether it's buying or selling. You're an expert about that piece of land that you're talking about. Okay, it's really important that you know everything you need to know about the land. It's really important that you do your due diligence to act on behalf of your client's best interests. This is what RICO wants us to do. And so GeoWarehouse is one of the best tools to help you do your due diligence. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and the little pieces of how to search for properties and how to look at the details and interpret the details of the properties. And I'm sure that you're going to come up with questions like, this didn't work for me, or that didn't work for me, or how do you do this, or how do you do that? So again, I invite your questions at any time. If the question is not pertinent to what I'm actually talking about, I might just defer it to some time later before I leave. And if I didn't get a time to answer the question, please remind me at the end, and I will send an email back to your broker, back to Sandy and the manager, and I'll try to answer all the questions that I'm not able to answer in front of you today. There are a couple of new things with GeoWarehouse. One in particular that I'm going to show you today, which is exciting. You may have discovered it all by yourself. And again, a key word is questions, questions, questions. If you have questions, then I know what you don't know, or I know what you're thinking, or I know what's important to you, and I can better help you that way. Okay? Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me at the back? Is that
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
No, you raise the screen up a little, I can't see it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe you can stand a little bit at the back, I'm not sure. And there will be some stuff at the bottom, so you might have to stand a little bit once you get there. But so let's talk a little bit about TerraNet. TerraNet was created about 21 years ago out of a need that the Ontario government at the time created because they wanted to transfer or transform the existing land registry system into an electronic system. The system at the time, 21 years ago, was paper-based. And you had to go into a physical land registration office. You as a realtor, when you needed to know information about a property, you had to walk in and ask the clerk for information on a particular property. The clerk would go to the back, pull out some documents, or send you to an area where you would consult documents, and then you would pay for photocopies and walk away, and you'd have your plans or you'd have your information, whether it was ownership or legal description or whatever. So that was 21 years ago, and the government, and before, the government decided to make it a lot easier and accessible to everybody in the real estate industry. They thought that turning it into an electronic system would be the solution. And in fact, it's taken 21 years to convert all of the land registry offices and build an electronic system and the user interfaces to what we have today in the form of GeoWarehouse for realtors, TerraView, which is a product that the lawyers use, and it's fully automated and fully electronic. A lot of what took time was scanning all of the paper in all of the land registry offices and making PDFs or images of those papers. But all of the paper that once existed in the province is now converted to data or images. So when you are accessing GeoWarehouse and you're looking at different types of instruments or different types of paper or information, you're going to see two types of files. You're going to see a scanned image sometimes, and you're going to see an electronic data that has been compiled into a web page or an electronic document, a PDF document. So when we're looking at different documents, those are the two types of documents you're going to see. I'm going to keep it very, very simple. So it's taken us 21 years to do that, and we're continuing to manage this system for the Ontario government. They own this information. The Ontario government manages and runs the land registry system. The land registry system is the identifiers of all the different parcels of land and the ownership and any instruments that affect the ownership or affect the title of those properties. The Ontario government owns that information, and they have given us a license. We've actually paid for a license to manage that system and develop that system and further make it accessible to you as realtors or people in the real estate industry. So I'm going to say this and repeat myself again. So the land registry system is owned by the Ontario government. We manage it for them. We've built the electronic structure upon which we as realtors use the GeoWarehouse, and we then have access to that through our license with as being realtors, and we have access through our boards to use GeoWarehouse. Okay? GeoWarehouse is built a little bit like this. In the middle, we have a bit of a block here that represents the user interface. This represents the user interface that is accessible on the internet as a web page or many different web pages. And these images down here are the suppliers of data, and they supply GeoWarehouse with different types of data. At the top we have the different industry sectors who use GeoWarehouse, mainly realtors, and that's who I talk with all the time, which is why it's a little highlighted here. But lenders use GeoWarehouse, law enforcement agencies use GeoWarehouse, the RCMP and the OPP use GeoWarehouse extensively. Surveyors use GeoWarehouse, and appraisers use GeoWarehouse. So the main data that is fed to GeoWarehouse comes from the Ontario government. I'll talk, and we'll get into all of the data pieces. I'm just going to identify these suppliers of data. The second major contributor to the data that you have access to is MPAC, the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. And they provide us with interesting information about the assessment of the properties and also the different information about the building types, building codes, and whatnot. Conduit is a new partner of ours in the last couple of years, which help us with condominium information. When there's specific information about units and condominiums, whether they're parking units, whether they're parking spaces and or lockers, and the linkage between those and suites. And they also provide us with access to purchase condominium status certificates online. So if you've been needing to purchase a condo status certificate, and you've called up the property management company and ordered that and given them a draft check for $100, and then sent a courier up or down or wherever they are, their offices are, for $40 to send it back to your lawyer or maybe to your brokerage, and then send that off to somebody else. You can do all that now with your pajamas on, with your slippers on, at 7 o'clock in the morning on the internet. Okay? Another supplier of information is Zoom2it. And Zoom2it is a supplier of aerial imagery. So if you're working with clients who require big pictures or pictures of the properties from the air, Zoom2it provides us with aerial imagery. And they partner with Google Earth for a lot of that. Google Maps Street View is another supplier of data and information. And they've greatly helped us, in fact, and we've made a new enhancement to the product just 3 weeks ago. And I'll show you that, which helps you access property details directly from Google Maps Street View. So that's a great supplier of data. And I'm sure we all use Google Maps Street View, whether it's inside G Warehouse or outside of G Warehouse. I use it for pretty much every day, I think. And then Land Survey Records is another supplier of data, and they provide us, therefore you, with access to surveyors' real property reports. And we'll talk about the difference between surveys and plans, but what they do is they take, they communicate with surveyors around the province and say, give us your surveys, we'll scan them, and we're gonna link them to the parcels of land in the province using G Warehouse. So when you're on a parcel of land and your seller doesn't have a survey, you might see that on that parcel of land, a survey is available. And that survey may be 3 years old, but it may be just good enough that you want to purchase that for $100 and put that at your open house. So I'll talk a little bit about that before we finish. So are there any questions about how GeoWarehouse is put together? We're all good, we all understand this? Yep.
For the conduct, right? You see, senior certificate is the latest one, or is it for the senior certificate, right?
Yeah.
So we can order from there. Is the latest one or
Yes.
before?
So the property management company, so the question was, is the condo status certificate the latest information about the condo? So as per the laws of the land, the property management companies are obliged to provide you with the latest information. There are different sections of a condo status certificate. Some of them are stagnant and don't change, and some of them do change. Some things like current assessments or special assessments, the actual status of the payment of the maintenance fees, any legal action that's taken against a condominium. All of those change from day to day, or could change from day to day. And so the property management company is obliged to report on that as of the day that they create that status certificate for you. So once you order it, they do a new search, compile all of that moving information, and send it back out to you within that 10-day period that they are allowed to do so. So it is the most current, and it's the same status certificate that you would get if you called them up and said, I'd like to order a status certificate.
So the cost is same.
The cost is the same. There is, I'll talk about cost when we get there, as a matter of fact. But yes, it's $100 for the status certificate. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, when you order that certificate and that's serving from the Geo Warehouse, do you need to pay extra to?
Yeah, so I'll talk about costs when we get there, okay? You pay $100 and you pay $25 to actually use the automatic system, but it's a lot cheaper than ordering a courier to go pick it up for $40, except if you live right beside the property management company offices, then you can just drive yourself.
So that is based of access for the survey.
The survey is, there's a cost for the surveys as well, yes. And there's a cost for certain impact information as well. So I'll talk about all of that. Okay? Any other questions before I move on?
So what's the involvement of Ontario government with your warehouse?
Well, the Ontario government, so the Ontario government provides all of the information that comes from the land registry. So I'm going to get to the details, but to summarize that, the Ontario government provides us with two key pieces of information that we as realtors absolutely need to use on every transaction that we are involved in. Can anybody tell me what those two key pieces are? Legal description is one of them. What's the other one? Sir? Yeah, party two. Yeah, the seller's name or the ownership. Those are the two key pieces of information that we need to know about when we're uploading something to MLS, and we absolutely have to have right or correctly written on our agreement of purchase and sale. Where do you get those pieces of information? From the land registry. Where do you access the land registry? From GeoWarehouse. You don't take that, and your broker will be the first person to tell you, and I'm sure they already have, you do not copy the previous listing's legal description. Do not copy the previous listing's party two. There may have been an error there. You don't want to take that error and put that into your back pocket and into your broker's back pocket and risk getting in trouble for that. Okay, so those are two key pieces, and then there's lots more information that we get from the land registry, which is very, very important to know and help you do your business properly. Any other questions? So let's move on. I'm going to be using three pieces of software today. I'm going to be using this piece of software here that allows me to move from one topic to another very quickly. If I want to talk about creating reports, I can just click on creating reports, and it's going to take me to the second piece of software, which is a PowerPoint deck. And I usually have only 2 or 3 slides. So I can move through that topic quickly and then go off onto another one. So I'm just going to fast forward here and come back to this software. So those are 2 pieces of software. And then the third one, which is the most important, is GeoWarehouse itself. So I'm going to log on to GeoWarehouse. When you gain access to GeoWarehouse, log on through your membership with the board. I'm sure most of you are members with TREB. And if you're a member with TREB, there's a button at the top of the home page of TREB called Land Registry. That's how you access GeoWarehouse. Okay, so the words Land Registry, which is what we manage, is what takes you to the page that I'm going to show you now, which is the home page of GeoWarehouse.